for the growth of the economy. Before we get to your Erie Canal, I want to talk about something that actually happened. This is a good thing. This is a very good thing. In the stimulus bill, which, by the way, did work, not as robust as we would have liked, but it did work, there was a provision to build locomotives for Amtrak. I think about $800 million over a period of years would be spent on building locomotives for the East Coast. This is so you can get home, Mr. Tonko, on the East Coast here. These locomotives were to be 100% American-made. I don't know who wrote that provision, but it was one of the very few provisions in the stimulus bill that said, make it in America, 100% American-made. Siemens, a German company, one of the big international industrial companies, said, $800 million. Ooh, you have to make it in America. Okay. Siemens had a factory in Sacramento, California to manufacture light rail cars, streetcars and the like. They got this contract. This is the first locomotive made in America by Siemens under that stimulus provision. They're going to make, I think, 80 of these over the period of the next several years, 100% American-made. And now across the United States, as a result of this infrastructure investment, we're beginning to see companies in a supply chain, some that are making the wheels, the truck underneath, which is where the wheels attach to the locomotive, the facility up on top that attaches to the electric lines. All of this American-made, 100% American-made. And by the way, I have a piece of legislation in that would continue that says if you're going to spend your tax money on transportation systems, highways, bridges, locomotives and the like, it's going to be your tax money used to buy American-made equipment. Just like George Washington said we ought to do it.
Well, it does go back to our humble beginnings, and it's, again, history instructs us. History, if we allow it, will guide us in some of our toughest times. We realized some of our greatest, most monumental success stories. And you did mention the canal, which for my area, I see the 20th Congressional District that I represent as a donor area to that canal. But I just want to make this factoid available. In those times, people look back and they think, wow, what a wonderful project, and it probably sailed through. No, it met with great controversy. And it was proposed because of economic difficult times. And here was a vision. That's leadership. Give us the vision of how you can grow the economy. What can we do that is strong and forceful and will change the outcomes out there? And it was this connection of a port in a little town called New York that gave birth to a necklace of communities called mill towns in upstate New York that became epicenters of invention and innovation. That all came about with a struggle to find the investment available to build this canal. So the struggle will always be there.
What was that canal?
The Erie Canal.
Oh, the Erie Canal.
Erie Canal, barge canal history, which is wonderful. But my point here is that there will always be struggle for issues like this. There will be a counterforce to every force of perceived good that can happen. But that doesn't mean we should walk away because the climate or the environment is difficult. We go forward. We know what has to be done. History has been instructing us here. Science, through data compilation, is reminding us of some very torturous outcomes that have been part of very atypical storms. Superstorm Sandy, which gripped the entire Northeast, was atypical. Tropical storms and hurricanes in upstate New York, unheard of, that produced all sorts of damage, including loss of life, loss of farmland, valuable farmland, loss of businesses, loss of homes, in some ways totally swept away by the forces of water. That is a difficult situation that needs to be addressed with infrastructure improvements. If we do not take this to heart and mind, we will be, I believe, a lesser society for not having paid strict attention to both science and history, which ought to guide us.
Well, if you take a look at Superstorm Sandy, I don't know what they're going to call the storm that is occurring in Colorado, but we're also seeing the necessity to prepare for climate change and these new, very strong, very dangerous storms that we now have seen repeated. there's going to be a major infrastructure investment rebuilding Colorado, just as there was a major infrastructure investment in rebuilding the East Coast following Superstorm Sandy. As that investment is made, we will see the economy begin to pick up as men and women return to work. If we take what I think we ought to do is to spend that money on American-made concrete and steel and the like as we rebuild these necessary infrastructure works, we will add to the economic potential of that rebuilding. Now, how are we going to pay for it? Let's get down to what has been, I think, the most